Hello everyone and welcome to my corner of the world. It looks like I have an issue and I thought I'd sorted it earlier today and everything's gone sideways. Hold on a minute. I'm gonna see if I can make this. It says orientation is locked. Rotate device back. Oh, you can see my ugly shelving unit. Oh wow, I can't believe this. I had it working beautifully earlier and now we're all sideways. Oh boy. Oh rats. I can't think of anything else to say. And now I can't do anything with this. Let's see if I can get closer anyway. Oh, I don't know, this has just started in the last few weeks that I have found that for some reason it keeps on going sideways and it's driving me nuts. So I'm going to have to work sideways, and if you could bear with me, we'll make that work.
You have to end it first.
I know. Okay, Brian just came in to tell me that things aren't working well. He's looking at it from his point of view as well. Okay, so as I say, this is my Sunday live. We're an hour later than we normally are. I thought I might try a little later in the day. And so 1 o'clock, I kind of chose arbitrarily. So today I am going to be working with some of the specialty papers that are in the annual catalogue. And just going to make sure that this is the right way around for you. Yes. So on page 127, there's some papers that we have that were new. And one of the papers, this sparkly one here, we saw those when we had a celebration. I think it was like the end of last year maybe. But it's come back into the catalogue as a permanent for the next year. And then we've got things like holographic, we've got white scented paper, and then the other one I think I got was this sparkly paper. So number 7 is the soft shimmer here. So I thought I would have a little look at using some of these papers, and I had an email from one of my lovely ladies the other day asking me about the white centre paper. What was white centre paper all about? So this is the white centre paper, and it's quite thin. It is actually paper rather than card, and if you look at it, it is coloured both sides, but unlike our regular cardstock, it actually has a white core. And I'm not quite sure if I'm going to be able to show this, but when I sort of show a couple of techniques in a minute, I'm sure that it will come very clear. So it came in Night of Navy. I think this is, let's see, I think this is Lemon Lime Twist, Fresh Freesia, Berry Burst, and Azure Afternoon. So those are those colours there. And there, as I say, is that lovely sparkly paper, which is in sort of gold and it's not really a bright silver, it's more of a muted sort of champagne-y sort of silver. And yeah, they do call it champagne. So that's that paper. And then just to quickly show you a couple of the others, this is the holographic. Now it does come in 12 by 12 sheets, so I've just cut these down, and I'll try desperately not to to actually blind you with these. But they're sort of a berry burst and a sort of a silvery, and but they're all kind of holographic, ever so pretty. We'll be using those, I'm sure, at one time or another. Here's the shimmer, and this is Bubble Bath, Berry Burst, Night of Navy, Pretty Peacock, and Lost Lagoon. And I think those colours are stunning together. And I think these three colours are stunning together as well. And I'm sure in the right combination, others would work as well. So they're single-sided, but as you can hopefully see, they've got a lovely shimmer to them. And the only other one I have to share with you is this one. And this is called Gold Celebration. I'm just going to out the packet. There we go. And it is an acetate that's been printed. So we've got like some stars and sparkly bits there. There's dots. And then some squiggly lines. Here, you just see a little clearer. But if you turn them over, they've got silver on the back. So you've got gold and silver in one packet. So there's sort of three sheets, one of each, and as I say, they do come in 12 by 12. So those are the specialty papers that I have. There are a few more. I think there was one or two new ones that I haven't yet got in my stash, but I'll look to find an opportunity to use those. So let's see what we're going to do. I am going to start first with these papers, and I think the one that's going to give us the best effect, instant effect, is the darkest one, which is the Night of Navy. And so I'm going to cut this in half. It's 6 by 6, so I'm just going to cut 3 inches off of it like that, because I'm going to use it for a card, and I think that I can get the maximum out of my piece of card, a piece of paper, if I use like the 3 by 3. So there we have, and I'm going to put it on a piece of basic white card. Again, I think that's going to give the biggest impact. So I've got my piece of card here, and I'm thinking about using the whole width. And using it as a landscape card like this. So I will just cut a tiny bit off the end, because that's going to be 5.5 and this is 6. So I'm just going to cut a 1/2 inch off the end of this. There, so that should fit my card nicely. There we go. I might have to trim a tiny bit off of, maybe that looks a weeny bit on the broad side. Okay. Okay, so you may remember from my lives that I actually just work through an idea with you live. You can see I've had a little think about what I wanted to do, but I haven't actually put any ideas specifically together. I think that's going to be better. So I've cut that down to 2.5 now. All right. Now here comes the technique. So I'm going to emboss it with some embossing folders, and the one I've chosen to use for this, and I know that horror of horrors, I'm thinking that I'm going to be doing a Christmas card. And I did have my embossing folder here a few moments ago, and the little devil has disappeared. Not having a lot of luck today, ladies. Sorry about that. Okay, so this one here is for the mini, and it is snowflakes, and that's why I thought I would do a Christmas card, because we've got snowflakes. So this comes there's two in here, one with like the fir tree bough, and then this lovely snowflake effect. So that's the one I'm going to use, and I'm just going to pop my paper, and as far as I can see, it doesn't matter which way round you put it in the embossing folder. Now this is a thicker embossing folder, so I'm going to need my number 1 plate. Then I'm going to put down my embossing folder, number 3, hinge first, and then I want to use the thinner of my 2 plates, 2 embossing plates, and that's the grey one. And the reason I want to use the thinner is that this is a thicker embossing folder, so I need less thickness on my embossing plates. So you just crank that through, and while I've got my embossing folder here, I'm going to emboss a piece of plain Night of Navy card, and I think this will help you understand a little bit more about how this works. There. Alrighty. So here we have the lovely embossed effect, and you can see it kind of looks the same on both pieces of card. But now what we're going to do is we're going to use a sanding block. Now I've got this is I just took this out of my nail my nail kit. It literally is just a nail block, a nail sanding block, and I've also got an emery board, and you can see it's been well used. So that's what we're going to use on this paper. Now I am going to just put down a mat. This is just a cutting mat, because I don't want to damage my little silicone pad. I'm not sure what it would do. Right, so let's try with the block first. And I'm just going to gently rub it back and forth over what is the rough side of the embossing. Okay, looks like it's taking a little. Okay, that would help. Now you can see that this is the piece of cardstock that is the Night of Navy. So that's ordinary cardstock. I have been rubbing away at that, and the colour hasn't changed. So let's go with this piece of paper. And I'm not pressing terribly hard, but hopefully, and I'll bring it up to the camera, you can see that the colour is starting to lift off of the popped up side, the embossed side. Can you see that? And so we're getting the effects of the embossing folder coming through. And I'm just going to, and as I say, I am not pressing terribly hard because I don't want to take the colour off of everything. So we're actually taking the top surface off of the card, and so that's using that block. You could go into a home, like a Home Depot or a Lowe's or somewhere like that, and just buy an ordinary sanding block. I think that would work as well. Now let's just, I'm using an emery board now, and now this is giving me a little bit more control over some of the smaller areas. Let's see if we can make this work a little bit. Okay. Right, I'm just going to do a little bit of work around this piece here. So I guess really what we're doing here is kind of distressing the paper. And I'm trying very hard not to go too much in one place because I don't want to take the paper right sort of through. Might need to take a little bit, yeah, I think we need to take a few of the fibres off of the back. So the more I work, the more it pops, and it's quite good with it. I'm quite happy with this. Now there's some pieces here that are embossed on the other side, so they're sort of debossed on one side and embossed on the other. But I'm going to, so they're just sort of like a shadow effect. So I am going to leave that for now, she says, having just seen another little place I think might work. And yes, I think let's do this little bit here because that's embossed. So, all right, okay. So if we look at the finished effect, you can see that this is the white core paper on the one side, and then this is the regular cardstock, and you can see that the regular cardstock is coloured all the way through. I can rub and rub and rub and rub that, and that is never going to change colour. The dye is all the way through. But the white core paper has colour back and front and white in the middle. So that is that particular paper. Now then, let's see. I was wondering about using some of this on here, because if we're going to have a Christmas card, we're going to need plenty of bling. I am going to cut 2 strips of this paper 3/8. Now this particular paper, this one here, these Dazzle, you get 8 sheets, 6 by 6, and you get 4 of the champagne and 4 of the gold. And I'm going to use some double-sided tape to stick this down to the back of my paper. I just think that this particular card, but that Dazzly paper, is quite thick, and so I don't want it to lift off. I want it to stay firmly attached. And if you have followed my blog and you followed me on my various videos, you will know that I have this terrible fear of my cards falling apart when they arrive at their destination. It's just a weird phobia that I have, and so I try very hard to make sure everything is stuck down well. I'm just going to put a little bit showing through, and we'll do the other side and try our best to get an even let's see, there we go. Okay, so for those who have just joined, welcome. I really appreciate you joining me today. I am having some camera issues for some reason. My phone will just not go normal. It's this kind of weird, but I am trying very hard to work so that you can see. And today we are looking at some specialty papers, and the one that I'm working with at the moment is called the white core paper, white center paper, which gives us a lovely effect of distressing when we emboss it, and then we've used like a sanding block or an emery board to take some of the colour off. All right, so here I've got my card, and I think you'll agree that that really does give everything a really good pop. If you agree, perhaps you'll go ahead, give me a thumbs up, let me know. Okay, now I have got this stamp set. This is called Brightest Glow, and it was in the Holiday Mini in 2022, and then it flowed through into the annual catalogue, and I'm absolutely thrilled because I just love these greetings. And if you know me, you know I love different fancy fonts, and this is just chock full of them. Right, so I want to see how much room I need. I love this Merry Christmas. This is a lovely stamp, and I'm hoping I've got enough room. If I move that up right to the top, I might. I think it's going to look a bit crowded, so we're going to have to think of something else. There's this one here, 'Tis the Season. That might be better. Let's see. I think that will work. So we get a block. and get that stamped. So let's just line that up a little bit, get it as close to level as I think I can. Alrighty. So I'm going to stick with Night of Navy for my ink. Not the best at leveled, but I'm going to live with that. Is there one that I can put inside? 'Tis the season. How about To Let Your Heart Be Light? Let's see, where is that one? Oh, can't see it that way. Oh, there it is. In that top corner. All right, so we're going to stick that one on a block as well. And this time, I'm just going to attach it. I'm just going to stamp it in that corner there. All right, so now, you know, I was thinking about whether or not to put this in on Stampin' Dimensionals, but you know, I think that paper is a weeny bit flimsy to do that. So I'm going to use my favorite liquid glue. And just pardon me while I just check that this is level. There. So that's really catching the light with all its bits of sparkle on it. And then I think I might put some silver trim on there. This is just going to be loaded with sparkle. I don't usually do Christmas cards this early in the season, but hey, this was an ideal opportunity to share this particular. So I've got a little glue dot here, and the knot is smaller than the glue dot, so I am just going to sort of smoosh the glue dot up a little bit into the knot and pop that there. And I can't resist, cannot resist to put a few rhinestones in the center of these there. So I don't know what you think. I think it's a really pretty card and a pretty effect, and I'm quite pleased with that, and hopefully that gives you an idea of how to use the specialty paper, the white center specialty paper. I thought I would use just one more colour and a slightly different theme. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a little bit of cutting. I'm going to make it exactly the same as the other one. I'm going to make it 2.5, and this time I've chosen to use the Berry Burst. This one is, we're going to do 5.5, 5.5, 5.5, there it is. And this time I'm going to use a different embossing folder just to show you how that works. And this is the Elegant Eucalyptus embossing folders. There's 2, and I'm going to be using this one with the lovely floral display. So again, I'm just going to pop it in my embossing folder, and this time I need to center it up a little bit, I think. Let's get my plates. So I need my number 1 plate. Let's just try and center that up. Hinge first, and then my light grey, my dark grey embossing plate. Get that through. And then you can see a really lovely design on that embossing folder. Just love that one. Okay, so let's just rub some of this off and see what we get. Now, you don't necessarily need to, I was going to work on my pad, wasn't I? So that I wouldn't damage the surface of my silicone mat. To emboss, what you could do is literally take a piece of the card. Have I got a scrap? Oh, here's a scrap. It's only a tiny scrap, but we'll use it anyway. And you could just distress it like this. You don't necessarily need to emboss, but you could just distress and take that colour off. Can you see? It's starting to distress there, and that's just using the paper flat. So you can use it either way. And let's just get some more of this off, and then we can see how it looks on any occasion card. Let me think, what should I make this one? So I did get out my very favourite go-to greetings, because that is something that you can use for practically any card. Now, I don't want this to come out all white. I want to get different shades of, if you like, the pink. I'm just going to go in with my, I think if I used a newer emery board, it might be a bit quicker. So I can just see myself now going into the drugstore, buying emery boards and sanding nail sanding blocks for my card crafting. Right, I think it just takes a little bit of patience to pull this through. but I think it's going to have a nice finish. There. I think it's coming out and giving us a little bit of the different colour there. Now it looks a weeny bit dusty, but hey, I think that's the half the point of it looking distressed. So if I was to just finish this off, I think this time I would use, I mean we could use the gold, but this time I think I'm going to just use a different colour cardstock. So let's go, we do the 3/8. Now you could cut a piece to layer the whole thing, but it is kind of a bit of a waste of card. And if you, like me, mail your cards internationally, then you're looking for weight to, you know, to keep the weight down. Now this time I'm just going to use liquid adhesive to stick this on, because the card isn't as this Fresh Freesia card is not as thick and bulky as that Dazzly card that we just used on the other one. Right, let's get this lined up. There. Tiny little bit of trimming, and just to make it simple, I'm just going to use the same white card base as the other card. Oof, got bits all over there, I can't stand that. Hopefully that's back in the right place. Right. So here's my card base, exactly the same. And this time I'm going to use, let's see, what shall I use? Well, let's just go happy birthday. Let's just make it real simple and go with a happy birthday. Like that, and again just using the liquid adhesive and I think this time I'm just going to use a few pearls. Because I think this is a little bit more daintier than the other one. Okay, so that's what I have to share with you today. So we have looked at a couple of the new white centered card, and we've also had a little play with this lovely glittery paper. I keep forgetting to work sideways for you. So I hope that you have enjoyed the technique, and if you have, perhaps go ahead, give me a thumbs up, and I will be back next week with another Sunday Live, and I'll be back at 1 o'clock Central Time to share with you, and hopefully I have got my camera sorted out and things aren't all sideways. Well, I appreciate you joining me today. Thank you, and bye for now.